windy again. Well, the MSOs are on, tan walls are off. I don't like the look of it as much, and I miss the tan walls. So I'm going to take this as a moment of silence to remember how sweet this bike looked with tan walls on it. To commemorate the tan walls, I've worn tan pants. Now, if you're new to the vlog, this is the part where I ride down the trail, all the way to the ferry, get on the ferry, ride the ferry, get off the ferry, go get a coffee, walk up to the shop, open it, and eventually start talking to the camera. Or something like that. Tan walls, I miss you. We haven't talked about cyclocross bikes in a while. We've talked about gravel bikes, we've talked about fixed gears, we've talked about everything. But we haven't talked about what I started this channel about in forever. Cross bikes. I haven't said anything about them in a long time. Which is hilarious because the bike that I've been riding in the last few videos literally is a cross bike. Basically I play it off as a gravel bike these days, but back in its heyday it was a cyclocross bike that could kind of do everything. Because this Tricross is kind of one of the older style cross bikes in the world, I want to talk about the progression that cyclocross bikes have gone through with the introduction of these like gravel and adventure bikes. Now the thing about cross bikes, especially from where I started, people were using cross bikes for everything. It was like their second bike that they were using for winter biking, for cyclocross, and it was also their commuting bike. And generally, as cross bikes gained popularity in something more than just a racing sport, they came with the provisions for rack and fender mounts. And because brands were realizing that people were using them for winter training rides, they were putting bottle cage mounts on them and just making them more of a utilitarian machine. Cross bikes ended up becoming the bike of choice for people who were thinking about getting into road, but they kind of had a history of riding on like gravel paths and, you know, basically just doing some leisure style riding. In my opinion, a lot of brands were trying to do too much with their one cross bike. And I think the Tricross is kind of the pinnacle of that era, where it was marketed as a cross bike, but really you were supposed to be able to do just about anything you could possibly want on it. Which of course kind of sounds like the beginnings of what we all kind of call gravel bikes these days. Gravel bikes are now the do-anything bike that you can do everything on, and I kind of think that they were sort of introduced to allow cross bikes to go back to a primary racing machine. The growth and popularity of cyclocross racing seems to be somewhat exponential. That might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but I think with that, and I include myself in this, a lot of new racers or people who are getting into racing a little more seriously were looking for a bike that was a lot more specific to racing needs, such as not needing a rack mount, not needing fender mounts, and not needing bottle cage, because in cross racing you generally don't have a bottle cage on. I think people are looking for more race-specific machines for race day, and possibly another bike to take up the role of doing all of the other stuff. It's not like the need for a bike that you could do every single thing on went away. It's just that I think cyclocross race machines were supposed to be race machines, and a new subgenre was born from what people were doing with cyclocross bikes. Now this isn't to say that I think that cyclocross bikes aren't good for anything but cross. That would be sort of hypocritical because I've got two cross bikes that I do all sorts of things on. Basically all this just to say that this cyclocross bike from 2008 shares more with these gravel bikes from 2017 than it does with specialized cyclocross specific race bike. In my opinion, the birth of the adventure gravel bike has basically allowed cyclocross race bikes to go back to just that, cyclocross race bikes. A bike that's designed to be ridden off-road for about 1 hour at the hardest effort that you can give. Lately I've been seeing less and less people going out and buying cyclocross bikes as their do-everything bike, and they've been buying cross bikes as a bike that they're going to actually go race. which is exciting for us here in Nova Scotia because it just means that our cyclocross race series is just going to keep growing every year because there's more and more people getting interested in trying out the sport. As always, in the comments, let me know what you think and if you've maybe noticed the same thing.